we got our first couple people in here. Hey, Elodie. Hey, Josh. Good to see you guys. I'll wait a couple more minutes and let whoever else is coming fill in. And in a way, intentionally kept our call small today so we could interact a little bit more. So we'll see who fills in here over the next couple minutes. We could get started with a little conversation. How are things going for you, Josh?
Hey, they're going good. They're going good. Last night was the 66th anniversary party for the Duval Soil and Water District, Duval Soil and Water Conservation District event, which was fun. And they named me an affiliate member and I was a sponsor. So I got to meet some really cool people that were doing some, good conservation for the river, which definitely needs it around here with all our algae blooms.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple of councilmen there, which was cool. They didn't stay very long, but they were there. And so, yeah, just been trying to keep it going.
Very cool. And how did you get involved with that group? Had you done events with them in the past?
I met the, I guess she's a secretary, and through her campaign, and she posted on Facebook a couple months ago that they were looking for affiliate members
Mm-hmm.
and to submit an application and things like that. So I was like, yeah, I definitely want to get involved with what the city is doing with the soil and water. That's like super important. So I submitted an application and started going to their meetings. They have a meeting today, and just kind of, wanted to be a part of what they were doing. And there was a couple people, other people too, who submitted. There's like 3 of us that got the affiliate, I guess, position. And one is Apple Rapid Compost. So composting lady is doing it, me, and then some realtor for some reason. But it worked out pretty good, yeah. So I definitely am trying to make sure that they are being conscious and starting to put, some fire to the feet of the, officials on what they're doing around here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've found that it can be so it's interesting in expressing and living your values and intentions by being an active part of groups like that. It's also great marketing because people see like, oh, this guy really knows what he's doing. He really cares.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how many other people come. We had 9 people say they were coming, and then 7 maybes. It is what it is. Whatever the turnout is, it's a busy time of year. But we'll just get started. We'll just keep talking. So I'm curious. So Elodie works with me in the Epic Eco Designer. So she's helping out. So I'm curious, where did you win in your business this past month?
So I am going to visit Jeff Lawton in Australia for his PIA. So I think that's a huge win.
Nice.
For inaction course that he has out there. And it took a lot of finagling and kind of almost raising money to get there. But I did it, so I'm going to be there and do that, and then try and see if I can be a part of his internship that he has going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the interview that Matt Powers did with him, but
How long ago was that one?
you just did it.
Oh, I haven't yet.
Like a month or so, or maybe
Okay.
2 weeks ago or something.
Cool.
And and so that was a really good interview with him and what Jeff Lawton's doing, and he's writing a book and all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
and he mentioned that internship, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty sweet. So I definitely want to try and do that with him. So I'm just trying to find out how to even apply for it. It's not on his website or anything. So
That's interesting. Yeah, because I think I was trying to get in touch with Jeff's people at one point, and I think I did actually see. Maybe I found a different website, but there was somewhere where you could apply.
there on his Zaytuna Farm website, there's the volunteer application,
Okay.
and it says on there volunteer slash internship. So maybe it's the same one, but I emailed them and they're kind of slow getting back, but just kind of seeing what they say. And I'll be there in less than a month anyway, so I'll just be able to talk to them about it.
Yeah. Is that like a week-long training, that PIA thing?
Yeah, it's like 10 days, but the weekend, I guess they don't do anything on the weekends, so it's
Okay.
7 or 8 days.
No, you're gonna meet some other phenomenal people too.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm looking forward to it, and definitely checking out the whole farm and what he's got going on, and just being able to be hands on, because PDCs are so like just mentally, you know, exhausting at some point. So
Because of just the intensity of the hours per day learning.
yeah, it's just reading and video
Yeah.
and all this stuff, and it's just like, okay, he's talking about all these cool things, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to actually see that, and see what it looks like and how it plays out in person. And I feel like his farm is pretty much just a really good place to go and experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you see yourself bringing that back into Native Jacks?
Yeah, so when so the PAA goes over specifically like nursery, garden production, small animal, large animal, and food forests, and then
Hmm.
consultation and business aspects too.
Cool.
But all that kind of fits in with what I'm doing. Maybe not so much the large animals unless I get into the farming kind of deal, but it would be good knowledge to have. And I had did a class on Sunday called just a permaculture 101 class, and one of the ladies there has like 2 acres, and she had like a bunch of goats and pigs and chickens, and she really didn't have any kind of plan. And so I kind of sat down with her for a second and kind of just like, oh, well, where are they grazing? Where are they eating? And she's like, oh, I don't know. They're just here and there. And I'm like, well, why don't we set up like this, kind of like grazing system so they can eat. You can let them out and let them eat and graze, and then bring them back in their pens or whatever. And she has plenty of property to do that. She only has like a couple goats and a couple pigs. She just likes them as pets, really. So, she's not like breeding them or having any type of like production out of them. So,
Hmm.
but
So
just
it's also, I see it enabling you to diversify what you're offering as part of your design work.
yeah,
'Cause it seems like you're branching out, as you had this initial focus on kind of the food forest aspect, but you're getting these other opportunities to bring in some more of the integrated system stuff.
yeah. I remember that the food forest was kind of like I guess what I really wanted to do, just because I felt like that was the easiest kind of thing to do on these little urban lots, is just kind of like these super mini orchards and
Yeah.
having guilds and stuff like that. So I thought that was going to be a cool route, but I think being diverse in what I'm able to do is really the best. I think the best thing to do.
Yeah, because it really depends on what your goals are as well, as far as the type of person you want to help. Do you know who that is?
Like the exact person, I think I like being in this city. I think there's a lot of need to change the landscape of people's grass yards and things like that. So that's kind of a focus, and those are kind of easy designs to knock out, and get them pointed in a direction to do something. But I think really I would like to do like bigger designs. That's why I'm interested in the internship, because that's going to be more focused on larger properties and farms, and creating kind of like niche little opportunities for cities to have maybe one giant piece of property that people could buy into, and then have a couple people manage it, and then them get the food from there, and then maybe even profits, type of thing. So I think there's just so many different things that are possible. I'm just trying to find where I end up, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, as far as those kind of public land type of projects, there's some really interesting stuff happening here in the Twin Cities. I'm guessing you're familiar with Dan Halsey.
Mm-hmm.
So
A little bit, yeah. I think you talked about him last time. I haven't looked him up yet.
Okay, yeah, he and I are in the same area. That's one reason why I mentioned him a lot. And I'm going to be helping out with his in some kind of background ways with his online digital design course that's in late July. But he right now, and I don't know how much I can say about this project because I think some of it's it's in the early stages, but there's a city park that's being turned into a farm that the city of Minneapolis, and I think it's like the local Department of Natural Resources owns the land. There's a few different stakeholders, but that type of stuff is happening where they're wanting to bring in, transform this 40-acre or so parcel into a farm. It's in the middle of the city. It's right next to the international airport, and having ex-convicts be able to learn farming skills. There's actually another site in Detroit that a friend of mine manages. It's about 60 acres of urban. It's in the urban city limits, and it's a 60-acre farm that trains ex-convicts farming skills. And so, I mean, that's just one small application of what's really possible. But that type of stuff is really taking off.
Yeah.
And of course, there are a lot of stakeholders and moving parts involved in projects like that, but it's also excellent visibility because although some of those projects are complex, what I love about, I take this holistic approach to anything that I'm doing in my business, where it's like, for example, we were talking about that conservation district near you that you're doing things with, or say this nature center that I sometimes volunteer at, because there's so much connectivity that's happening as part of it. And I've gotten design work because people know who I am. I'm the top of mind person that does farm planning or residential edible landscape design. And these opportunities to interact with more and more people, a project may be complex, but it's excellent networking and marketing too, and it can really be a catalyst for your business if it's the type of product you want to keep doing.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting because it hits all of these buttons. It's like, it's building community, it's building the business's ability to keep doing the kind of work you want to be doing, it's making a real impact on the landscape in a bigger way, it's saving, lowering the carbon footprint of food, helping people be healthier. That's why I stay so excited about this stuff, is because the benefits are just endless.
Right.
And it does actually make it easier to sell these types of designs too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that people are finally realizing it. I've been doing a lot of kind of networking around. There's this other guy in my area called Man in Overalls. He does kind of like raised gardens, and he has this cool setup in Springfield where a little area of town that's kind of like in the middle of like regentrifying right now. And he has this awesome garden set up, and he is basically has this like program where it's basically his neighbors, because he didn't want it to be too big, I guess, but they pay per month, based on the size of their households and the age group in their households,
Hmm.
to have access to this really awesome garden that he has set up. And I was talking to him yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I really would like to, I'm just like trying to meet everyone doing gardening stuff and sustainability and things like that, kind of in my realm. And we're kind of like trying to put together like quarterly kind of like a party, so to say, where we just have like different people in different aspects of sustainability put together like events, and have people come out and just hang out and just do something for the community, trying to build that community, trying to network with ourselves, advertise, and just do something fun and nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about just like doing things like that, and it was really cool. He has a lot of cool stuff going, a lot of knowledge, and I think that's going to be pretty good. He was there last night also, which was nice.
Cool. Yeah, I was checking out his website a little bit. He's got some cool stuff up there. A lot of good information for people wanting to grow their own food. The great thing about what you're talking about is it's not just like an expo fair where you're at a booth and you're like separated from people by a table, and it's this kind of like more rigid interaction. And because to create those more informal experiences where it's more of an everyday natural thing, to be you interacting with potential clients, vice versa, that's where that authenticity comes in, of having it be natural versus some kind of transactional interaction for you to potentially work with somebody or for them to learn. And then those longer term relationships where you have that deeper connection rather than just this person hired me.
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because there is that balance between like being someone's buddy and being a consultant, but there's a certain time to wear each hat.
Right. Yeah. And I think the main aspect was just trying to create a community and show people that there look at these options that you have of people doing stuff, whether it be a Facebook group for information, or a raised garden, or a permaculture design, or a soil analysis, or whatever. Like, you have these options, and we want to better the environment, and we feel like you want to as well. So come and eat with us and hang out and just meet each other. So
Yeah.
I think that's what the main goal was. And then hopefully just get kind of carried away with that and get more people to like change their lifestyle.
Yeah. I just had a breakfast meeting with the local pastor he's moving on from the church he was at, and he's starting to do climate change mitigation work. But I was asking him, what is the area you're wanting to focus on? He said behavior, because he's being a pastor, he's focused on areas of belief and what people believe in, how that affects their lives, and how they go about how that affects their quality of life. And so it's the behavior side that he sees being a really beneficial part of this whole climate change response.
Right.
And so when you're talking about giving people those options of, what can I do? Like, how simple can it be? How easy can it be to take that first step, rather than, someone might see that, oh yeah, growing my own food is definitely a great first step, but I want to do all these other things too. I mean, it's just like a business owner starting a business. We may have so many ideas, but not necessarily know which one to focus on.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Your intention with that event, it's bringing some ideas to mind for me as well. things to do in my area too. And there are already a lot of, my area is really active with various organizations, especially around pollinators and local farms and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but that sounds awesome. It's sounds like it'll be really fun for you guys as the hosts to put on too.
yeah. I think so. I think it'll be real fun, and then most of the food will probably be, from local areas, and kind of just promote just as local as possible. Really is the key.
Yeah, walk the talk.
Hmm.
That's great. So I'm curious where you're at with your business right now. You do the, it sounds like you may want to continue doing your real estate stuff.
Yeah, the real estate, it's so freaking saturated with realtors right
Oh,
now that it sucks. But I don't really want to continue doing just the normal residential real estate thing.
mhm,
So I mean, I have my broker's associate license and I have all this experience, almost 5 years of transactions and things like that. So, and it has been a valuable experience in learning how to run my own business and do things. So there was a lot of value in that, but I would like to have it more towards just like helping people find permaculture properties or property to turn into a homestead or a farm or something like that, and kind of just like keep it on that same kind of axis of what I'm doing with design.
mhm.
And some lady reached out to me from Kansas, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a realtor too, and I just saw your permaculture realtor Facebook page, and I thought that's such a good idea." And we had like a little conversation about maybe creating a website to have realtors that niche in permaculture and start to make some kind of option for people to look into, I guess. So
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty cool that someone else out there is interested in being a permaculture realtor besides me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really I found when stuff like that happens, it really lights that fire within me. It's like, oh wow, this got somebody's attention. Oh, okay.
Not the
It's
only
like,
crazy one out there.
yeah. Yeah, it's I was walking by this place in my neighborhood the other day. It's probably a half acre lot, and it's got an old kind of farmhouse place on it, and then just big empty vegetable garden. Actually, it's probably like 40 by 40 enclosure, but they're not really growing anything this year. But it's the kind of place where you can envision like, wow, there's so much possible with this piece of property. And in the past, and I am still interested in it, although being a creative person, I have, and I'm sure you experience this too, I have so many ideas about things I could do, and there's only a few that are going to be like, okay, this is really hitting the nail on the head for the impact I want to make. But to like the idea of buying properties
Mm-hmm.
and turning them into, like, there's a lot of different ways you could do it, but the idea of maybe in a college town buying a property that has some potential, that's a manageable size, and making it into a rental for students who are interested in agriculture, or maybe they're an engineer but they're interested in learning how to produce food, and say like 3 or 5 people live in the house and they take care of that landscape. And so you end up being a landlord, but then also providing maybe some level of mentorship in the growing of food. um,
That's cool.
or maybe there's somebody who is like a caretaker steward of properties, and or maybe it's the individual who's buying the property. In my case, I was thinking it would be there would be some steward of a property who, like, the property gets purchased, the steward transforms it over the course of a year, and then that property gets sold as this functional like this kind of starter permaculture homestead.
Yeah, that's good. That's a cool idea. Like improving it to a certain point to just hand over like turnkey permaculture property
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And of course there's important aspects to that. A lot of people would say, would question, is anyone going to want to buy that? But and people might not want to buy it if it's not set up in a sensible way.
Yeah.
But right now my parents live on 3 acres just south of me, and they need to put up a new pole barn because theirs is the sheathing, the metal needs to be replaced on the other one. It's actually the same price just to build a new one. And so they're going to do that. And I've been talking with them, because I'm actually involved in doing this kind of longer term design on their property too. But I was talking with them about, okay, you guys are going to you want to put this barn in a new place on site. There was a whole conversation there too, that I didn't initially want that to happen, but they're wanting to put this barn in a new place on site. But I'm helping them to consider, well, I'm not totally sure, I may actually want to live here when you're not living here anymore. It's a nice spot. But regardless, say if it was sold to somebody else, by the time that house sells in like 20 years, what you and I are talking about right now is going to be the only thing to do.
Right, yeah.
and not out of like a doom and gloom sense. It's just like people are already waking up to it. And for example, arranging this barn on site so that there's still space for a large hoop house is what I was talking to my parents about. And really getting this place set up as this little farmstead, because even if it's not the norm, more than 30% of the population practicing this type of lifestyle, someone's going to want to buy that if it's set up in a practical way.
I agree. That's interesting that you're just talking about that, because I just did this little consultation for this girl and her husband, and they have about a half acre in the city on like this corner. And she's like, we may move in like 5 years, and I don't want to do all this. And you're a realtor. Like, what do you think is like, will the value increase if we do all this stuff? And I'm like, well, for me, of course it increases. But I think, if you do it right and make it look beautiful and abundant, it's going to increase in value. Like, you're adding a lot of value to your property just by adding, fruit trees. And they have a big water flooding issue in the front. And I'm just like, you need to plant a whole bunch of banana trees and stuff like that. And to kind of, help with the water, and then, the wood chip thing. Mm-hmm. But she was like, oh, okay, yeah. So that, and then they want to buy a bigger property out in Callahan, which is more rural, and have animals and livestock and stuff. So, I think people want to do something, but they don't know if it's going to be something where they're going to get a good return on their value.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Is it going to be a good investment from that monetary side?
Yeah.
And that's,
I definitely think it is, but it has to look nice, it has to have that, aesthetic appeal for it to work.
Yeah. And one of my professors, when I was studying landscape architecture, talked about this concept of cues to care. So this was in relation to, say, a rain garden or a pollinator planting. And having even just a mown strip of grass right in front of it, and maybe a little bench, completely transformed the public's interpretation of that landscape, rather than just having those flowers come right up to the sidewalk. People would complain if they just came right up to the sidewalk because it looked too wild. But if it had even just that little cue to care, that, oh, somebody is actually taking care of this. Right. And it was totally different. And it does make such it's like night and day in people's response when it does look like, it's being managed appropriately. Yeah. Really interesting. So yeah, I'm curious, how are you measuring success as you move forward in your business?
Right now, opportunity. Hopefully, one day it'll translate into monetary. But right now, just the opportunities that I'm getting, um, the interest that is kind of had from my classes or when I'm posting or people just randomly reaching out and they're just like, oh, I have this property and I see you on Facebook and this and that. So I think opportunity really right now is kind of what I'm measuring as my success. And, it's transforming that into monetary, which I think will happen. I started Native Jacks in January. So I feel like money is not the first thing that happens anyways. So I have to just be frugal right now with all that, and then eventually I think it will start to create this good income whenever it starts to catch on, and whenever I get like a break on like the news or something where I can get in front of a ton of people, and then have some kind of interest um, with that. I don't know if you follow like Gary V. Gary,
Yeah, I'm familiar.
he put a video out the other day I thought was pretty interesting, where he's like, you should use Twitter as like a conversation, as like he called like a cocktail party conversation, where you just like kind of jump in and start talking about something. And I was like, oh, that's cool, because I never knew how to use Twitter really. I found it strange, just like write something. And so I was like, so I've been kind of cruising Twitter and following certain people and trying to
Hmm.
talk to them about, or putting in my opinion, either negative or positive, about whatever they're saying, and trying to get some reaction from them. So that's kind of something new I've been starting to do like the past couple days. And yeah.
I think that's an interesting practice too, because inherently as an entrepreneur and as a leader in a new movement, there is such a deep aspect of us speaking our truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, of course, it's not about, my truth is the truth or anything like that, but getting comfortable with that relative discomfort of, I don't know how this person's going to react to this. And um, but knowing that we're going into any conversation or expression of what we do and how we feel with the intention of creating understanding. So what is your goal as far as doing the Twitter stuff?
Just to get someone to react. And it sucks because I don't know how to change my Twitter like at thing, and I set it up when I was a realtor, so it's like at Josh Sells Jacks, and I hate that now. I wanted to be like at Native Jacks 904, and I don't know how to change it. I'm trying to figure it out, but I might just create a new Twitter account just to have that changed. But I just want to have someone like the other day, Melissa Ross, who's like the NPR local lady here, WJCT, local news place, put something up about solar. And
Mm-hmm.
I had gone to an event that same solar like organization spoke at, and I just wrote a comment. She's like, "Oh, what do you think about solar?" And I was like, "I think it's awesome, but I don't think it should be farmed. Like that's a bad use of land. I think everyone should have solar panels on their roof, especially commercial buildings and blah blah blah." Trying to get some kind of reaction, because I knew she was doing it for her show, because she's like, post your Twitter questions and stuff. So I don't know if she mentioned it, but at least put it out there. And then interestingly, a couple days later, a friend of my parents works for that WJCT, and sent a private message to Melissa Ross, and she's like, "This kid loves permaculture and he's super passionate. You should do an interview with him." So I was like, "Oh, that's pretty sweet." So maybe she'll take an interest at some point and talk with me a little bit or something. So
That's awesome.
I guess that's kind of the point. It's trying to get people to react to my reactions of theirs, and then
Right.
those people, I guess, see the main person's reaction. So
Yeah, I'd say keep doing what's working because it's getting some attention.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, is get the attention of people,
Yeah.
show them like it's easy. On my class, this lady was there, and she's like, I guess I was like just talking about permaculture, and that can get overwhelming for people because there's so much to think about, and they don't understand the plant names and what I'm talking about. And she's like, I'm just a newly divorced lady, and I've just been going to Walmart my whole life, and I just don't know if like I can do this. And I'm like, well, you don't have to do everything at once. Just do one little garden or one little plant at a
Mm-hmm.
time, and see where that takes you. And then she was like, oh, okay, like took off this pressure I felt like I might have been putting on her, just because I was talking about all these crazy things that half the people kind of knew and half the people didn't. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like making sure people know that it's kind of, you can start small and then build, is important for them to be able to feel comfortable doing something.
Yeah. It's amazing how pervasive that is in any application of what we might be doing, like toward any goal. Um, Either in the landscape or say starting a business or having a family, people, they see that whole picture and they're like, okay, I'm here. I don't want to get here. But that is a goal, but that's not the next step. So that is such a big part of being a consultant, is creating that sense of simplicity and focus for people.
Yeah, people just want to get to the end so fast. And
Right. Yeah. Right.
the questions I see on like these motivational speakers when they interview, when they have like a little video of someone asking them a question, they're like, how do I get there faster? Or how do I do this, quicker? Like, how do I get there? And they're like, you don't. Just like enjoy the ride to there. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a really good way to think about it. Just slow down and just take it a minute by minute, because that's all there really is, is now.
Yeah. Totally. I love that. That's what I find time and again is, especially when what we're doing on a daily basis, I relate a lot of things to business, of course. If the business is truly an expression of what we feel our purpose is on this planet, the journey is going to be awesome. And if we're really living out our values through the business, the other people that we connect with are going to have shared values. And so it's not just trying to get to this end point of say, oh, I'm going to make $1 million and then I'll never have to work again. It's yeah, I may end up making $1 million and be able to do amazing things for the planet and my family with that. But this journey, I wouldn't trade it for anything, because interacting with these people, um, experiencing just a bird landing on this fruit tree that I planted 2 years ago. And, it's those little things that it just makes it all so worthwhile, because we're actually fulfilling some of the deeper values that we have and seeing that come to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the way to get there, is through the journey. So I think that enjoying it and doing what is feels right is the only way to really live, because what else is there besides just, you know, doing what you enjoy doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of doing something that's not exciting to you, or something that's just kind of stressful, I guess, maybe negatively stressful. I don't
Yeah, and it's part of this bigger shift. Like we're part of this shift of this new way of creating community and treating the land, um, and really liberating people to be able to have more autonomy. But there is such a big shift in general of people waking up and realizing that, oh wow, I don't have to work this job that I don't want to go to every day, or I can shift my mindset and actually have it be enjoyable. There's a lot of waking up going on around all of that, which is really amazing.
know. Yeah.
So well, it's just been the three of us, but I'm glad we got a chance to talk more. This is
Yeah,
cool.
it's cool.
So as you, I guess my last question for you is, as you're moving forward, the opportunities are coming up. How do you plan to um, monetize that so that you're able to do this full time?
Um, yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think right now I'm charging pretty low, uh, just to get people to say yes and do some designs. But eventually I'm going to increase the price and I'll be able to have more value for them, I think, as well. But I think that if I can get a couple of projects a month, um, at the $1,000 to $2,000 range, um, that's, I think that's definitely gonna keep me going. Like my goal right now is like, five designs a month, and right now I'm charging like $500 for a design, and that includes like this guide on, maybe like the first couple years, and then I'm trying within that guide to keep contact with those people and try and upsell to like an install or an on-site consultation that I'll charge for or something like that. So throughout that 2 years or throughout their creating their property, I could still make money off of consultations or installing a little area that they don't know what to do really or this or that, and kind of, not just have one design and then that's the only money I'll make from it.
Hmm. And then
Trying to,
having that longer term relationship too.
right, yeah, and having that long-term relationship and seeing it grow and seeing them change, and then they become a big proponent of sharing what I've done with other people, and then those people see their change also, and they're like, oh dang, well maybe I should do my art now. So
Hmm.
word of mouth type of thing, but I think trying to keep that a business going throughout their transition is really what I'm kind of going on right now. But other than that, I'm really just kind of just taking what I can get at this point. And it's good for experience too, and seeing what people want and what they, all the feedback I get from them is really good too. Some guy was like, Josh, your handwriting sucks. I can't read any of these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. So like anytime you don't know what something is, like call me or send me a picture and I'll interpret it for you. And so trying to work on things like that. Um, and that's why I want to do Jeff's internship, because I think that's like, I don't know, that's like the pinnacle of like what I could be doing, I think. So I want to work up to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll definitely expand your ideas about what's possible with your business.
Yeah. That would get me
And
like traveling around the world doing stuff, which is like kind of really what I want to do, is like go to wherever here, there, and help them set up this, farm for 2 years or whatever. So
that's awesome. Uh, cool. And as far as since you said you're charging low right now, what percentage of people are signing on from the number of people that you give proposals to?
Um, well, let's see. Probably it's probably like a low conversion rate. Like
Hmm.
I would say like less than 10%. Um, but I haven't always had that kind of like model. I kind of just started. It took me a while to figure out how to get people and what number to ask for and stuff like that. So I'm kind of just starting that situation where I'll go out and do one free consultation, and then I'll sell them. I'll try and sell them on the $500 deal, and then most of the time, like one lady I did down the street, and she like had me out there a couple times, and she's just like, dragging her feet for whatever reason. I can't really get out of her why she can't just be like, okay, let's do it. but you know, I gave her so many different ideas and this and that, and then you know, she just hasn't been like, okay, well, let's start, or maybe I need to ask her. That's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow up with her today and be like, hey, when should I start on the design for you?
Perfect.
How she responds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so far out of the first design I did, actually both the designs I've done have really just come from like a class that I did, and the guy reached out to me like a month later, and then some Facebook posts that a lady mentioned me
Interesting.
on. So they come from random places. So actually probably 0% on the consultation to design.
Interesting.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm trying to. I think that this new model, I think that's kind of gonna be helpful. Most of these people don't have. I'm not going to like fancy parts of town, and I kind of base it on that too. Like if I'm going to some fancy part of town, I'm gonna say $1,000. But if I'm going to some area where I'm like these guys, you know, this like kind of judging by like their house value, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe that's not the right thing to do. I don't know.
I always question, well, my follow-up question is, do you feel that money is the sole factor in really helping someone make a decision to move forward?
I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about what people think about when the numbers come up, because there's the reactions are all kind of just like okay, and I'm just like I don't know, is that too low, is that too high? So I really don't know. You know, I don't know if it's maybe they just don't want a design, like you know, maybe I'm really kind of unsure.
How well do you feel like they understand the value of what a design would bring to their situation?
Well, yeah, that's the selling point. That's what I try to sell is like, you know, you're going to have an abundance of fruit trees and you're going to have your garden awesome. And you're going to be able to walk out of your kitchen and grab all your vegetables for the day. And you don't have to go to the grocery store. And I try to like put them in that position like it's already done and they're doing it. So they feel like they need to get it done so they can have that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think they should anyways, but um, you know, so that's kind of the way I've been doing it
Okay.
so far.
Looks like we just had Rourke join. Hey, Rourke. We're getting close to wrapping up, but if you want to say hi, you can jump on, Rourke. So I would say, I mean, it sounds like you've got momentum going in various areas. Like you're getting attention, you are getting consultations, things like that. Of course, we get into the packaging and marketing and sales stuff and the one-to-one mentorship, but for today, there are some things that are working in your business that are getting you attention, and some things that have also already converted.
Right.
And in my experience, hands down, it's in being open to the reality that that can indeed happen repeatedly and consistently, and that if it's happened once in one place, being open to leaning into those successes and kind of reverse engineering them, and possibly going out and doing the same thing could get you similar results recurring.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then that also in a real way can bring some focus to, okay, what should I be doing today to move this business forward? Where's the river flowing already?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why I did the classes again, because I'm like, oh, I got one deal from the class that paid for, you know, all the time I put into that class, and I get paid for doing the class. So it's kind of like a win-win.
Yeah, totally.
So like I was like, all right, I'm gonna do 3 classes in July, and hopefully I'll get 3 people. My goal is like 1 design per class to get, and that's a solid month of design work, revenue anyways, and then The other one was that mention on Facebook. So I've just been
Mm-hmm.
joining every single permaculture group I can, and kind of just being involved, not on like a sales basis, I guess, but kind of just like an educator aspect of it, so they can look into me, and then they see I'm the owner of Native Jacks and whatever. Maybe I'll post a class that I'm doing under my name, so then there's that correlation. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, and I've been making videos for all the classes I do now.
Nice.
So I'll make a video instead of just writing a post. I like make a video, write a little blurb, and then I'll post it to all the Florida permaculture groups and gardening groups that I can find. And we'll see how that works.
Well, that's awesome. That's really exciting to hear that you know, you enjoy the teaching and that it's already been successful. So I'm stoked to see how things unfold for you and also for your experience in Australia. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you do too. You know, you're really inspirational, and I like your little guitar posts.
Thanks.
That was cool. I'm like, all right, he plays guitar, and I think you said you were in a band at another point in time.
Yep, I am.
I'm trying to get a band going on here, but it's hard to get people, I guess, to commit time for that.
I've been really fortunate. One of the reasons I moved back to the Twin Cities in Minnesota here is because I have a couple friends from high school. One's a drummer and the other plays guitar. So we recorded our album over the last year and released that in May. And then now we just found a bass player who actually does marketing at the local food co-op.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna start doing some barn concerts at local farms and stuff like that, which is that's my ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
I was pretty stoked to
Thanks.
see that. I was like, that's awesome. So glad you're doing that, and hopefully I find my little crew and get something going.
Yeah, yeah, definitely post a video of you playing an instrument or something. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, I have to practice a little bit more, but
I see the guitar in the background.
yeah, I got a couple, and I just noodle around, and that's why I want some like people to jam with. So I've been trying to go to like little open house or open mics and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and try and just get people to hang out with me and play guitar.
Me too.
Sorry, I wanted to go on,
The interesting thing is that so many permaculture practitioners are also musicians.
Really?
And people in local food. So just keep hanging out with those people. You'll find musicians to jam with for sure. Yeah. It's insane how common it is. Everywhere across the country and the world where I meet a designer or a farmer, it's like, oh yeah, I play banjo or flute or whatever.
Yeah. Thinking about it, that's true. Yeah, a lot of people that I met in the PDC I did in North Carolina were really good musicians, and they had like walls filled with all kinds of instruments, and I was like, what is this? Like, so we had to get a conversation about that.
Yeah, cool.
Man.
Thanks for hanging out today. This was great.
Yeah, well, thank you for holding the call. I appreciate it, and yeah, I'll keep you updated. We'll stay in touch.
Sounds good. Yeah, good luck with everything. Thanks for hanging out, Rourke and Elodie. Have a wonderful day, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.